Mercedes are updating the GLA and the GLB like they did with the GLC Coupe just recently, and I made a video on that. So what we're gonna do here is look at what tiny changes actually happened in the redesign of the GLA and the GLB. Gonna focus more on the GLA and then talk about the GLA35 AMG, and are they actually dropping the GLA45 AMG? I really hope not. No more canards on the front end and no big out of place cool looking spoiler in the rear. I really hope that comes back eventually. Maybe they're starting with the 35 and then just introducing the 45 in, I don't know, half a year or something, 6 months or something like that. First of all, we're gonna have a look at this article from Car and Driver and see what's actually new here. You have new taillights and headlights. The front bumper and grille has also been tweaked just a little bit. You have a new spectral blue metallic paint, and 3 optional wheel designs have been added. And as I've said before, Mercedes wheel design right now, seriously on point. However, I prefer the pre-facelift wheels to the wheels that we have here, which I'm gonna show you, of course, when we jump into Photoshop. Look at this gorgeous steering wheel. More on that when we as well in Photoshop when we talk about the interior. You have dual 10.3-inch screens. Previously, this was part of the premium package, but now it is standard in every single GLA. That's fantastic. We don't have any pricing for the new GLA, but the current one, I think, starts at around $37,500. Something like that. It's probably gonna maybe bump a little bit by 500 bucks or something, because now you have more standard features and more technology in this facelifted version. The turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder engine that drives the front or the 4 wheels. So you can have either front or all-wheel drive in the GLA. And you have 221 horsepower, and it's paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. 0 to 60 time, according to Car and Driver here, they managed to get 6.3 seconds with the 2021 GLA 250 4MATIC. However, I'm going to show you a short clip of the GLA 45 AMG doing 0 to 60, and it is seriously quick. More on that, of course, also later in the video. So let's jump into Photoshop here. Let me show you the comparison. I threw in the 45 AMG here, even though we're going to compare the new 35 AMG to the old 35. I just wanted to show you what I like about the 45 as well, so that's why that's in here. Up top we have the old 35 AMG right about here in this red. Then we have the old pre-facelift. I wouldn't call it old, they still look really good. And then we have the new 35 AMG at the bottom. So the changes that they made here, very subtle changes. I think the headlights integration of the daytime running lights, I think this is new. It used to go in the bottom here as well, as you can see, but in the new one it actually just goes up here on the top, and then you have these 2 small I guess accent LEDs underneath it. It still looks really good. This is one of the best looking small SUVs on the market today, if you want to call it an SUV. The thing is, as you know, Americans really don't like hatchbacks if they don't have plastic cladding on them. So Mercedes had to add some plastic cladding to be able to sell this car here. And you know, you have to just that's what you get when you live here. And I'm happy that they actually brought the 45 AMG over here. I think it's a really cool design. I wouldn't look at it myself as a hatch, as an SUV, more so that of a hot hatch. And in addition to that, I think this front end looks better than the normal A-Class, which has these chiseled front headlights that look more like the new Mercedes SL, for example. I definitely prefer the way this looks. So in that regard, I'm pretty happy that they brought this 45 from 2021 over here to the US. It's a really cool car. Some of the other changes here, for example, the GLA35 has the badge on the hood, the AMG badge on the hood, and not just the Mercedes hood, just to separate it more from other models. You also have the GLA35 AMG performance steering wheel, and that upgrade by itself would be worth it to me to upgrade to an AMG model, because it looks so good. The old AMG models steering wheel also looked very premium. It just felt super high quality, and I think this new one does that as well. So Mercedes appear to have dropped the 382 horsepower GLA45 from the lineup. which I hope is not true. I hope it's coming back in a bit, in a couple of months. And now we only have the 302 horsepower AMG GLA35, and that is the one we're talking about right here in Photoshop right now. So these are the changes. You have some changes in the lower part here as well. This intake still has the same outline, but the internal pieces, as you can see, have been color matched with this thing that brings it up to, you know, the same level as the current other Mercedes 2023 and 2024 models. And I think they're just doing it across the entire lineup to bring everything up to the same kind of styling and identity in the front end. Other than that, it looks like the new GLA, this is the 35, and it looks like it has actually body painted fenders here. In previous models, the pre-facelift, because even the 45 had a black cladding around the wheel arches, and I'm not sure if Americans might confuse this for a hot hatch now and not buy it because we don't have the black plastic cladding going around here. But I think it looks a lot better, specifically in the AMG models. This is supposed to be sporty. Not a lot of people are going to take this off-road, obviously. They're going to take it and have some fun on some back roads with the AMG models. And last but not least, before we jump in, actually let's talk about that in the side view. So look at this side view here. As you can see, not a lot of changes. What I love about the 45 though is that they blacked out every single chrome piece that we have in the 35 being chrome. So you have chrome around the greenhouse here, around the windows. It looks pretty good. I mean, it's still a Mercedes. You still have to have this elegance to it, I guess. But if you go up to the AMG 45, you can choose. Maybe you could have that as an option on the 35 too. I'm not 100% sure. But in this case, what we see here, you look at these canards here on the side. I love that they put this on this small hatchback SUV / whatever you want to call it. And then we have this wing that kind of looks out of place, but I still love that they decided to put it there just for the sake of separating the 35 up here to the 45 and make it a lot more aggressive and cool looking, more fun. It feels like Mercedes sometimes a little bit more too serious. This feels like a fun Mercedes. They had some fun adding some different pieces and parts onto here. But look at the wheel design of Mercedes right now. Even the new GLA35 has some fantastic looking wheels. However, if I were to pick wheels for this, I think I prefer the GLA35's wheels over the, you know, these are pretty standard AMG wheels. They still look very cool, but I love the simple spoke design, multi-spoke design that we have in a lot of Mercedes these days. So I'm not sure which one I would pick. I think I prefer the silver ones, maybe in a little darker tone. I like gunmetal shade for wheels. I think it looks really good. So having these wheels in some sort of gunmetal would be really nice to have. But as I said, I do like these AMG wheels as well that we have on the 45. And this satin gray paint color that we have. And it is still a beautiful design. I mean, the change in the proportions has not changed at all. You have the same line flow in the bottom here going into this bumper. Then we have a bit of a shoulder line here, a bit of a shoulder line here, and then it looks like we have another shoulder going a little bit underneath those. But everything, the proportions and the graphics still look on point, and it's still one of the best looking small SUVs out there in my opinion. Let's have a look at the rear view before we jump in to the interior and have a look at this new gorgeous steering wheel, AMG steering wheel that we have in the 2024 model. So the small detailed changes that we have from the previous pre-facelift is that they worked a little bit on the internal pieces of the taillight. So you have new graphics and new LEDs. You have this big massive blobs of LEDs now instead of having them be outlined like we had in the pre-facelift. So it's not really, you know, a lot of changes in the exterior part, except for, you know, they're dropping the 45 model and the powertrain options are a little bit different. Still, it looks like a fantastic little fun car to drive. And here we have the 45. And of course, what separates the 45 clearly from anything else, from the 35 or any other GLA, is first of all, this is blacked out. We have it be chrome on the old 35, and we have a dual exhaust on the 35, and we have quad black tip exhaust on the 45. Looks absolutely fantastic. And in addition to this wing that we have up here. Very cool by Mercedes again to add this wing onto the 45. The new 35 I think looks maybe a little too tame for me. I want to have more sportiness to it, and that's why I really hope that they're still going to keep the 45 AMG GLA and add quad exhaust to that as well, and keep this wing, maybe integrate, maybe make this wing a little bigger, but keep the shape of it to have it a little smoother integration of the top wing. But overall, it looks like a good design, but for an AMG model, it doesn't, to me, stand out enough from the standard non-AMG GLA models. So let's have a look at this interior, and this is very similar to the video I made about the GLC. The changes here in the interior. As I said, this old wheel, it still feels very premium with this metal parts, metal spokes, brushed aluminum or whatever this is. Looks really cool. You have AMG stamped on here. You have these dials for the driving modes and some customizable buttons on the left side. You still have the same screen, so this feels like a very new Mercedes. Even pre-facelift, with this big screen that we have, feels pretty well integrated, because this has, the dash itself is actually following the design of the screen and kind of have it be sitting inside the dash. You can see that here, for example. It goes back and around and keeps the screen in a bay within the dashboard, which I think looks good. I also love these turbine-inspired vents, and that we have some physical buttons for the most important functions of the car. And they kept all of this. It seems like not a big change here, but what they did is you can see that the silver piece on the outline on the screen is now gone. I'm not sure if that is part of a package or something, but I think it looks a lot better having it just be black outline of the screen instead of having this silver trim piece going around it. And of course, the new steering wheel just looks absolutely fantastic. This with this round circle in the middle, it's just a steering wheel. It's not very common that I see a steering wheel that I want to go in and feel all the materials and all the surfaces and the centerpiece and this silver piece down here, and just play around with these settings. But this steering wheel is very inviting to just grab and check out all the details that is within the wheel, and I think it's a fantastic design. For the rest of the interior, it looks like it's pretty similar to the old one. This section looks almost identical, which I think it is. And thankfully, they kept the physical buttons down here for the climate control and so on, and they also kept these vents. Still, a very premium interior, and I hope that they keep bringing out the more powerful GLA35, because that feels like a beast of a little machine. And I think Mercedes, I think they need one of those small, hot hatchbacks. I'm gonna call it a hatchback. And not a small SUV. I think they need one of those in their entire lineup to just add some fun and remove some of the seriousness of the rest of the lineup of Mercedes.